do you feel?
Taller. I don't know if I can do this. This is why you were chosen.
Hi.
I don't look as tiny anymore.
What do you want to look like, a little elf?
I'm Mike, and this is Cat's Dick.
Dickers.
Hot grills, fun guys, good times. We're on a temporary set,
And then we were gonna film somewhere really cool,
but it rained.
but it rained, it poured.
I'm gonna get wet!
I'm gonna look like a drowned rat.
I apologize for the shininess on my face. It's very hot
Me
where we
too.
are.
It's like 34+ degrees.
It's hotter than a Yeti's asshole in here.
Today we're reviewing Captain America.
So it's an action-adventure sci-fi based on Captain America, as we all know. Stars Chris Evans.
He's a fun guy.
Does he like fun girls? So he plays Steve Rogers, and he is deemed unfit to be in the military. So then he goes into this super secret research project to make a super soldier, essentially. First, they're just kind of using him like as a propaganda thing. Then he's like, no, I want to go out and I want to make a difference. I want to reinforce the American ideals.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Look at oh!
The director is Joe Johnston,
Director of Jurassic Park 3.
as well as Jumanji. I thought Chris Evans was good in this role. I like him as the action hero. And
Yeah,
such.
he's a funny guy.
And when he's so skinny at the beginning, oh my god, I can't believe, like, so skinny. It's
that reminded me
retarded.
of high school.
So I'll say right away that Marvel played the easy card. I felt right away that it was just the simple story that
Well,
they were
it's the
telling.
backstory.
His origin story was not even that exciting. All of a sudden, I'm a superhero.
I think that the pacing wasn't very good. The
No.
pacing wasn't the best, but then there were crazy action sequences. How he used his shield was awesome. Bouncing off people's faces and stuff. I would like one of those shields.
But his shield is considered one of the all-time, fan favorite weapons
Yeah.
of a superhero. But in this film, you never see how he's trained on that. All of a sudden, he just knows how to throw a shield off of the head of 4 guys. It goes 40 feet in the air, he just catches it every time.
My main complaint about this film is that it feels too rushed. They showed scenes that I didn't really want to see, and they forgot to show the scenes like you just mentioned.
Exactly.
Very tricky to do in origin stories with these superhero movies. We've seen it in the past, and we see how it's done right. It just feels so rushed, and it just feels like it's jumping from scene to scene to scene. It's actually funny how jumpy it is. There's a section of the movie in the middle where he starts fighting with the US military. It's just like a montage. I felt like they could just take that whole
the
scene
montage,
out.
it felt like it was from the 80s or something. It was weird. Special effects, sometimes they were good, but I found when they were like recreating the 40s, it looked fake.
iMovie sepia tone.
The effects in this film are almost subpar. There's moments where it really is good, and then there's moments which are really actually bad. S.H.I.E.L.D. itself was a real bad job, unfortunately, and that's what took me out of the film, because that's supposed to be his protection.
How does it turn into like a magical frisbee? Like I understand maybe
Like a boomerang.
how he could throw it, but how does it
Come
keep
back.
flying and come back? It's
Amazing
a rare metal,
metal, yeah,
but
but-
it's just a metal.
Comes
For
back
me-
to his magnetic personality.
Here's the main...
You did it again.
Hugo Weaving I thought was awesome as the Red Skull. He plays a great bad guy.
Mr.
I couldn't-
Anderson,
I couldn't help-
Red Skull.
You don't find out what he wants to do, he just wants to take over the world, and he just like,
Wants to
hates
kill
everything, and he just wants to kill people,
Including
and he's just an
Nazis.
evil dude.
Well, he wants to be a god. They don't really explain his motivations as much as they should have. It's
They
about
did explain it though, sorry.
a little bit, but not really. This, out of all of the Marvel movies, to me, seems like the worst story.
That story, but I think this is the weakest Marvel movie this year.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, overall, it's a great comic book movie, no doubt.
It's a great comic book.
Exactly, but out of all of the franchises that are coming together in the Avengers, it seems like the weakest story told on the screen so far. It doesn't
Doesn't beat
beat
Thor,
Thor,
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Hulk.
You know, I almost feel it's on par with the Incredible Hulk.
I love how they're tying it all in though. How Samuel L. Jackson.
Right.
I like how they touch on Tony Stark's father, how he's in that.
Yeah.
And you see that he kind of is a little bit like his son, a little bit.
He is,
a little
but
bit
like
similar.
I
they
think that
they
was
overdid that, I think, because he was
Yeah.
like he was the pilot in one scene. Like, what is he doing as the pilot in the military? He's like seems to be everywhere. Like everything, all the gaps was filled in by him.
What did you guys think of Haley Atwell?
She's a very gorgeous lady. I love her lips, her
What
eyes.
about her
I got-
acting though?
I don't know. Her acting was fine.
Here's the main problem with Steve Rogers' character. He's this little man who becomes this large man. And yes, yeah, she sees him before he's that large man.
Right.
She falls in love with kind of both of them.
She doesn't like him that much before.
Yeah,
she
she
thinks
does.
he's sweet, and like
Yeah.
if he was big, then I'd f him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's no, that really is
And then
a
he gets
problem.
big and she's all like, look at those abs.
Yeah, that's-
I want to wash my laundry on those.
No, that actually is a problem. with this story
It is
because
a problem.
she would never date him before he turns into Captain America.
Right.
Come on, let's
if,
get real.
I say, you know, it'd be cool and cute if they kissed before the operation,
That-
before the procedure.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's like all nervous,
Just a little
and
kiss.
she's like, here you go.
But I thought she was fine. I wanted to see her kick more ass with her.
I wanted to see her vagina.
Chic, yeah.
I like Tommy Lee Jones in this. He does that role well.
I want to have a hen house, gold house. I want a peacock on set. He's a typical Tommy Lee Jones.
We're going to the bug house.
He didn't like Captain America at first, but he warmed up to him in the end.
And Stanley Tucci, who is a god of acting in my mind, he plays that doctor.
Oh, I love
I love
Tucci.
Tucci. What are your overall thoughts on the film, Jay?
Your breath smells good.
What did you think of the movie, Jay?
I give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's one of the more average comic book stories. Unfortunately for me, I didn't get into the Captain America comic, and I never really felt like I connect to the character in this film. It's a far more entertaining film than a lot of different comic book movies like Ghost Rider. And my main problem with the story is Captain America is not developed that well on the screen. He just goes from this average Joe to all of a sudden this Superman.
Well, it's just an origin story.
Yeah, but it was a weak one for me.
And Mike, what's your opinion on this movie?
Unlike Jay, I did relate with this character. I was the tiny kid, still am the tiny kid.
You were the fat kid.
I was not. I was bullied, I was skinny and scrawny. So I understand his frustration, but this film was way too rushed, way too jumpy for my liking and taste. It's a great comic book, but you know what? I think they could have done a better job, and I do say this is the weakest Marvel movie this year. I only give this 7 out of 10. Entertaining most of the time.
I give this movie a 7.5. Some of the action sequences were really, really decent. I enjoyed the character. He was fun, but yeah, the pacing was not the best. The special effects weren't the greatest, but I left having had a good time, so I feel like it's gotta be at least a 7.5. I am excited to see how they tie them together. I'm worried that it'll be hard with so many interesting characters with such different personalities to see how they tie together. I feel
And
like
racial backgrounds.
I feel like it'll be too much, but I'm hopeful, and we'll just have to see.
So guys, give us your opinions on the Avengers. Do you think it's supposed to be one of those action-packed films right off the bat? Or do you think they're gonna mess it up? What do you think?
Or does the audience need a reminder for it to be good?
No, that's don't do that.
Don't have a bunch of background story like
Don't
Green
do that.
Lantern. Hi, I'm Kat.
I'm Mike.
Stop that. That's my
This is the problem with Chris Rogers. He's
Chris Rogers.
Chris Rogers.
This is the problem with Mr. Rogers. He ties
What's
his
his
shoe
name?
on.
That it's one of the more average storybook stories.
Storybook stories. Comic book stories.
Let's do it again.